All for joining us for this meeting, the July 21st meeting of the Pendleton City Council starting at 7 p.m. The first item of business on our agenda is the time for community discussion. So this is the time designated for any person to ask questions or to make statements before the City Council on any matter regarding city business that is not on our agenda this evening. Do we have anyone who would like to provide public comment? Okay. And if you could just make your way up to the podium, I will remind everyone, every speaker has 3 minutes. If you could please state your first and last name and speak clearly into the microphone so we can have you on the record.
I get it way down here.
Okay.
Good afternoon or evening, Mayor McKinnon and City Council members, and thank you for having me. My name is Nicole Pantley, and I serve as the Regional Operations Director for Pendleton Treatment Centers. We've been a part of this community since 2019, and tonight we would like to reintroduce ourselves and reaffirm who we are to the City of Pendleton. Over the past 6 years, we have worked quietly and consistently with Pendleton residents who are trying to stabilize their lives from an opiate use disorder, and we see real progress. People who come to us are often facing barriers with employment, housing, and the legal system. But once they enter treatment, those barriers start to shift. We see employment increasing, housing stabilizing, and new criminal convictions drop. I'm going to share 2 examples of the kind of progress that we're seeing at Pendleton Treatment Centers. So our 2025 surveys that we did, before entering treatment, 66% of our patients had a criminal conviction. But after entering treatment, new criminal convictions dropped to 6.5%. The same pattern we see in housing. Nearly 20% of our patients were unsheltered before treatment, and that falls to 4.7 after they engage in treatment. These aren't just small shifts. These are real changes in safety, stability, and the quality of life for the people who live right here in this community. Most importantly, though, is what our patients tell us directly. 88% say the quality of their life has improved. 95% would recommend PTC to someone they care about, and 91% are satisfied or very satisfied with their treatment experience with us. Those numbers matter, but what matters more is what they represent. People in Pendleton are getting better, feeling safer, and achieving more stability. We are proud of the work we've done here since 2019, but we know that we have not done this alone. We collaborate with law enforcement, jails, hospitals, and service providers because we want to be part of the broader solution and not a silo. Our goal is simple: to support Pendleton residents in building a stronger, safer, more stable lives. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm always available to speak to anyone about what we do, and we look forward to continuing this relationship. I've also prepared my statement on a piece of paper along with my card and our brochures for you, so you don't have to remember what I told you.
Perfect. If you could just give that to Susan, she'll make sure that we pass it out to the group.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, Roy, if you'd like to come up. If you could state your first and last name for the record, and I will start the timer.
My name is Roy Jones. I am a longtime Pendleton resident, and I have raised my kids here. I love Pendleton, and I have had the privilege of sitting and serving on the Pendleton Development Commission Advisory Board for about 5 or 6 years now. As I've had the opportunity to get involved and understand the expenses and the decision process of the city, it's been eye-opening. And I remember fairly recently, I was having a discussion with somebody that really helped me understand that there's a lot of distrust against government in general. There's a lot of talk about waste and fraud and spending, and nobody wants to have any of their taxes go to anything, because if it's all corruption, then why? And I remember responding to that person, well, I can't speak to other places, but Pendleton does not have that issue. We have a tight budget. everybody's making decisions the best that they can based upon available information. I have been sick to my heart these last few weeks, maybe a few months, seeing some of that creep into Pendleton. Not the corruption, but the accusations against city leaders, suggesting that there is ideological issues or other things that are just nefarious. And so I just want to take advantage of this opportunity to say that thank you for the work that you do. There's not one of you up here that is, out for themselves. Everybody is a public servant that really loves Pendleton, has lived here, and want to do the best that they can for Pendleton. There's not one side versus another, but there's just residents of Pendleton that are stepping up to serve the community. And so thank you. And I think that if it takes those of us that know that that's the case to say something so that those other people that want to create discontent and discord can't be the loudest voice in the room. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to provide public comment? Okay. Anna, you can come up and please just state your first and last name for the record.
I'm Amy Madrigal Bates, and I own and operate Life's Intention Back to Basics, a nonprofit here in town. And lately I've been keeping a closer eye on mostly what's happening with the homeless population and a lot of the problems that the businesses have been having, and just in general, a lot of going on. And I've heard a lot of, get rid of them, fine them, do this, do that. But what I'm not hearing a lot of solution. So as a person in long-term recovery who has also been homeless in my lifetime, a lot of what I'm seeing is housing going up here. We have great new apartment buildings, a bunch of those going up, but not one that's affordable. I mean, I'm a therapist now, and I could barely afford to rent one of those if you're lucky enough to get in, because you have to have no record and you have to have credit. And I mean, come on, we're setting people up for failure here. So do I have ideas? Oh yeah. We could really use a couple more security apartment buildings. Those are studio units. They're also 1-bedroom units that are affordable, that people on Social Security could afford to live in, or someone that is working a $17 an hour job could afford to pay their rent and utilities in, and not, have to have 5 or 6 roommates to make it. We need to start looking at the bigger picture here. And we are trying to help with that. I currently have half of the building over by Community Counseling Solutions Peer Center by Stillman Park. And we have a drop-in center. So we're taking and starting to let people know they're welcome to come in. We have coffee, we have computers to help them get IDs, jobs, learn how to do an application. Let us help you. I have my peer mentors who are doing their backpacks, and we're out on the streets every day. We don't just work 9 to 5, we work round the clock. We also are available on weekends. We don't stop because addiction doesn't stop on the weekend. And that's not what we need. We need to keep pushing forward. I think part of this is that, and part of it's my fault. I haven't been here sooner, haven't been able to be, but, building a shelter is great. And that's a great start if we could do that and require, have like a recovery hub as part of that shelter. But what that's going to require, and I know I got a couple seconds left, but what that's going to require is, where do we send them after that? We need to think about this in long-term planning, not just punishment. Okay, because you think about it, a lot of those people out there, the youngsters and stuff like that, if you're going to keep punishing them, they're going to keep rebelling. That's what they do. So we need to start thinking about this in different ways. But I'm here to help with that, and in whatever I can do. I've given Rob my information, and so we're ready. So
Okay.
just let us know how we can help you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a few people in the room that I'm sure will be in contact with you.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else who would like to provide public comment in person or online? Anybody online?
So nobody has their hand.
Okay. Hearing none, we are going to move on with the strategic plan update.
I have to apologize. I did not prepare a strategic plan update. I have been in conversation with representatives at Eastern Oregon Alcohol Foundation. And I'm actually in a meeting next week about this long-term status of that organization. I consider that an asset in our community that we can't afford to lose. They've been in our community for decades. And I'm hoping that we can find a way to be able to help them continue. Beyond that, I don't have anything else to report. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any specific questions from the council on anything strategic plan related? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask you all to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our next item of business is introduction of guests. I know we have many individuals in the room representing organizations within our community. I'm not going to call out specific people, but I know that you're here and you'll likely contribute to our conversation later. And we do have some of our council elects that are here in the audience as well. We may even have some in person and online. Our next item of business is the appointment of Joseph Hull to serve in the Ward 2 position currently vacated by Sean Butler. And so before I do this, one of the things that I know that the council asked was to receive a letter from Joe that he was interested. He is here. It is on the agenda, but for the sake of the public record, I would like to read the email I received from Mr. Hull once I contacted him about the council's interest in having him join us earlier. So he wrote, Mayor McDonald, thank you for the conversation earlier this week regarding the recently vacated Ward 2 City Council seat. This correspondence is to formally notify you, council and staff of my excitement and willingness to begin my council service ahead of my elected service to fulfill the seat. I would be honored to take on the responsibilities at the last meeting in July of 2026, then continue my elected term starting in January of 2027. Please reach out with any questions, and if you need more definition within this email confirmation, I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve our beloved Pendleton. Thank you, Joseph Hull. And when I received that, I forwarded it on to staff. We added it to the agenda, and we have Mr. Hull here. I know that it doesn't say this for the sake of that, but I think maybe just for formality's sake, we received the letter. If we could just have a vote to accept that letter, from Mr. Hull into the record that we have, and then we can move forward with signing, having him sworn in and signing.
I move to formally accept Joe Hull's letter stating his intent to be appointed to his elected position early.
And okay.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Solberg, seconded by Councilor Campbell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. So now we are going to move on with the appointment of Joseph Hull. So Joseph, if you would. I told him I have a brother, Joe, so it's going to be that you're going to hear me go between Joe and Joseph for a long time. So
Both are good.
if you'd like to come up with me, and you're welcome if your wife, if you'd like to have your wife join you, either way. That's all good. I just give choices. You can stand us right here, and then Sherry will take a picture of my signature. Okay, so if you can please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Joseph Hull,
Do hereby declare
do hereby declare
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Oregon,
and of the state of Oregon,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully and honestly,
faithfully and honestly,
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office of City Council Member
of the office of City Council Member
of and for the City of Pendleton.
of and for the city of Pendleton.
Congratulations. Do both of them, and then we'll give one copy to Susan, and then one copy you'll get to keep it. They're the same. I think they're both mixed. Okay. You will see that when you can.
Okay, thank you.
And you can join us up here. So he gets to work right away. This is how this works. So he printed out his packet, so that's good. We have a lot of things on the agenda today. So now we are back to full capacity for our voting purposes. Okay, we are going to move on. Now I'll give you a second to get adjusted. And then we are going to move on with the consent agenda. There is no executive session for the council this evening. Do we have any items of business that the council would like to pull for further discussion? Okay. No. Okay. I do think that once we go through, one of the pieces, I will just note it, if we could have just some information on the range of, for the salary. So I know that that was a question from the council. I don't see Sherry here. I'm looking, you're right. Okay, so is that something that we want to pull for further discussion, or I will let you guys make that call? Or do we want to move forward?
I'd like to hear from Sherry.
Okay, so we're going to pull item C from the consent agenda at this time. So we really have the minutes of the last council meeting on July 7th and confirming the city council's approval for all art sites. So A and D. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as modified, allowing updates as noted and corrections, if found, in the city manager's contract renewal.
Okay, so that item we actually have pulled for discussion, for further discussion.
Oh, I thought you wanted it.
Nope,
Okay, sorry.
nope.
Understood.
So, yeah, so we will just, we'll be looking at items A and D. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda items A and D.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Schulberg, seconded by Councilor Thomas. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so item C, it passes unanimously. Item C is the item that Councilor Mulvihill has a question for Sherry about regarding the city manager contract renewal. Sherry presented a staff report in the consent agenda, and so I'll just kind of let Councilor Mulvihill ask you a specific question that he has. And then if anybody else wants to go through this. One thing I will say for the sake of the public record is the city manager's contract in the city of Pendleton is an automatically renewing contract until either party decides to end that contract. So that is why, you know, we're talking about the renewal, but some minor changes.
Yes. Mayor,
Yeah.
council.
My question is, are you able to share where you reached out to the other cities and what those ranges were? I didn't see this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry.
I can look on one of them.
So the process for a market survey, when conducted, is we take the population of the city of Pendleton off of the Portland State University's Research Center population data, and then we take 50% above and 50% below. And I look at all of those cities. I take 10 on either side because 50% encompasses a large range of populations. And then I collect information. If it's on the city's website, I grab their city manager data. Most of the time it's not. So I'm reaching out to each individual city, asking for their salary, whether it's a range or whether it's just a straight contract. And then I collect that data and put it in an Excel spreadsheet, average it on for all of those, and then compare it to Pendleton's current salary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think in the staff report, Sherry did, she mentioned a little bit of that piece, and that it was determined in that market survey that the salary for the city manager position is 14% below the average in that group right now.
That's correct. Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the council? Okay, I think you're good.
Thank you.
Since we did pull this item on the agenda, do we have any public comment specifically about this agenda item? Do we have any online? Okay. Hearing none, I would put it before the council. You have the city manager's contract with some slight changes in there. That is before you. The contract draft has the changes that have been made in green. And so it does make it retroactive back to July 1st because the contract renews at the beginning of every fiscal year. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the city manager contract renewal at stated beginning June 20th. No, effective July 1, 2026, as outlined in the employment agreement and the contract number 1019.
Second.
So moved by Councilor Ennis, seconded by Councilor Schulberg. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you to Sherry for doing all that hard work, because I know it's something we discussed quite a long time ago, to try and bring this position for future proofing for our community. So, and for all of Rob's very hard work.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it's unanimously approved. We're going to move on to our next item of business on the agenda, which is a bid. And this is specifically the purchase of a John Deere excavator. So if we could have the staff report, please.
Mayor and City Council, Casey Curran, Public Works Superintendent. Staff recommends the purchase of a John Deere 130P excavator from Pathé Machine for $217,853. Public Works Department equipment replacement schedule allows for replacement of vehicles and equipment on both a scheduled and as needed basis. We will trade our current 120D excavator for $24,000 in this recommendation as well. Like I said, it's currently a 2009 John Deere 120D with approximately 7,144 hours. And we're starting to see an increase in maintenance, and it's approaching the end of its life, end of its useful life as our production machine. Knowing that the machine was coming to the end of its life, Public Works budgeted $200,000 for this replacement. And the total comes to $217,853. Like I said, it was budgeted and it was advertised on the website as well. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this agenda item? Hearing none, do we have a motion from the council?
I move that we approve the purchase of a John Deere 130P excavator from Pathé Machinery for the amount of $217,853.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Thomas, seconded by Councilor McBride. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Unanimous approval. We're going to move on to our next item of business, which is the approval to Rotchke for the West Secondary Clarifier Rehabilitation Project. Staff report, please.
Madam Mayor, City Councilors, Kyle Wellman, Assistant Public Works Director. Staff is requesting the City Council to approve a low bid of $265,000, and award to Rotchke LLC for the West Secondary Clarifier Rehab. This is part of the loan that we received from Clean Water State Revolving Fund. This was advertised. We had 4 bidders, and Rotchke was the lowest. The engineering estimate was like 1.6.
Do we have any questions for Kyle?
Can I add something? Would you talk about the planning process that you go through before you put these projects together?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So this project, this is the first phase of the overall project. So when we put together this package, we looked at like what the plant needs. 2010, we did a very large upgrade to the facility, which didn't include both secondary digesters and both secondary clarifiers. We're currently in the process of rehabbing the east secondary clarifier, and now we're moving into rehabbing the rest of the facility that wasn't done in 2010. This is all part of the master plan process that we did. That master plan was started in 2017 and finished up in 2024. And so this was all part of that plan to do. Does that cover?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that public understands there's a long history of conversations that go on, planning processes that go on, and that prior leading up to these bids that go out.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, the loan was a $9 million loan that we applied for with $2 million in forgiveness off the principal. And that doesn't include any incentive monies that we end up getting through Energy Trust of Oregon, which hopefully there will be some going through this process. That's part of the engineer's responsibilities, is to help us find those extra dollars to, take that $9 million project and make it a little bit bigger to cover some more things. Yeah.
No, you answer.
Okay, any additional questions for Kyle? Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion?
I moved that we approve the award to Rotchke for the West Secondary Clarifier Rehabilitation Project at the Resource Recovery Facility in the amount of $1,265,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Ennis, seconded by Counselor Hull. Any discussion?
I would only like to say, somebody asked me recently, what is one of the things I am the most proud of about being a city councilor? And I said our water and sewer department. These guys are just amazing. And we should be so proud as a city that they have been proactive to apply for loans and grants and make sure that our water and our sewer systems and ours are in great shape. They need to be applauded for that. So I'm always supportive of this. I don't get to read books anymore, but I read about sewer plants, and I'm happy to do
it. Maybe she'll keep doing that here into the future.
And read she does.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it's unanimously approved, Kyle. Our next item of business is the Temesclit Cultural Institute ask to borrow our Weisenbach collection. So staff report.
Madam Mayor and Council, on the other side of the room there on the easel are 2 examples of paintings from the Weisenbach collection that the city owns. And I hope that you read the letter that was submitted to you all from Temesclit, who has requested that collection be loaned to them for a special showing that would occur with your permission there over the next 12 months. This is a very unique collection that the city has owned for a number of years. Very few people know it even exists. The concern that I've always had about it being out in the public was the value of the collection is really unknown. They estimated what the value might be in their letter. I have really no idea what the value is, but to this community, I think it probably is worth way more to the culture of our community and perhaps the tribe than what we might be able to place in terms of dollars and cents. And the idea that we could potentially partner with CTUIR and make it available to this community for the citizens to be able to see it, maybe for the first time. And I really don't know when it has ever been fully seen by this community. I've never heard of it being fully seen by the members of this community. So I think that, we talk a lot about wanting to partner with the tribe, and I think the dance that occurs at the convention center is a great example of partnerships that we've been able to create in the last couple of years. And perhaps your willingness to be able to loan this to Temasclick for a showing, I think might be another great example of a growing partnership that we might be able to celebrate together. And I would encourage you to support us lending this collection of paintings for this showing. I think it would be a great thing for all of us to be able to celebrate that collection, and I would encourage you to support the lending of that collection for this showing.
Okay, any additional questions for staff?
Do we know how many pieces there are?
I was actually looking for that number. For some reason, I have 22 stuck in my head.
Okay.
I don't know if that is the actual number or not.
But we don't have an archival place for them. They're not being kept in.
We are keeping them. But they're very carefully
Okay.
wrapped
Good.
and stored.
Okay.
But they're not. They need to be properly displayed, in my opinion. Counselor Hull.
Yes, sir. You saw my hand up.
I did.
Do we have it? I was just looking at the letter, and I didn't see if some of the folks in the paintings are identified. Is there?
They're actually named, and some, maybe all of them are identified.
Oh, good.
At least some of them are.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah.
And you think there are 22 of them?
I think that might be right.
They reference an attached list that
We didn't
that we
receive
don't
that. Yeah,
have.
that we
Oh.
don't.
There's a
But it
second
appears
page on the
that they
letter.
are.
Oh, well,
I count-
I don't recall seeing the second half of the
I
letter.
count 13 from their description of the project, but
Okay,
there could be more.
yeah.
And we've been working with them specifically on the vert collection and cataloging all of those pieces as well as the city. I really should say James Simpson has been working with Diana Lesarge on that, looking at all of these things. So I think it's increasing the collaborative nature of the relationship too, to be able to do this. So it might have come to be out of that, the increased conversations we've been having with the museum.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I don't see the
Or
formal
question?
written motion, but I move that we work out an agreement to share the artwork with Temasclick.
Yeah, the motion would be to approve staff to create an agreement to loan the paintings for display at Temasclick Cultural Institute.
Yes, sir. That is my motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Hull, seconded by Counselor Mulvihill. Any discussion?
I would like to ask whether or not we should include in the motion, if it could be amended or if it needs to be, the name of the collection,
To what?
Sure could.
to include the name of the collection in the motion.
Yeah.
To loan the Wiesenbach paintings for display at Tomaslik Cultural Institute.
Okay,
I
so
think
I'd go
that's
back
good.
to Joe. Are you okay?
It's under recommendation in my staff report.
There it is. I got it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't think that printed in my packet, but, so to restate the motion, if it's the right time.
Yeah.
I move that we approve staff to create an agreement referencing the Weisenbach paintings to loan paintings for display at Temaxlet Cultural Institute.
Okay, and then Brett, do you still second? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Well, I do think it's important that we did mention in there the costs of putting together the legal document regarding this loan agreement. Because they're made with something with this value. If they take the responsibility for putting that document together rather than giving that to us, I think that should be part of our motion as well. That will be their responsibility. And they do that kind of thing all the time. They probably have a boilerplate for that. Do you object to that, Joe?
No objection whatsoever. Great addition.
But there may be a cost for our attorneys to review it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so as amended.
Yeah.
As amended, right?
Friendly amendment. I think he acknowledges the friendly amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that,
And Brett,
Brett.
Quite a first motion you've had.
Hey, why not work the new guy? Real hard? Yeah.
okay.
This could be a long night. But I second whatever we just agreed to.
Okay, so I will restate that the motion was to approve staff to, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The motion was to approve staff to create an agreement to loan the Wiesenbach paintings for display at Tomaslik Cultural Institute, and that the cost of the legal fees to put the agreement together would be, we would ask Tomaslik to be able to put that together, and that our staff would review it.
Have their staff. Perfect. Have their lawyers draw
Okay.
it up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
We just might start a new tradition of picking on the new person.
I like it.
So it might be a little bit different than the planning commission, because in ours, we just have a recommendation, and that's usually kind of the form of the suggestion.
Yeah.
But there might be changes along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next item of business is the first reading of ordinance 4051, amending ordinance 3766, the burn ban ordinance.
Ordinance number 4051, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3766, regulating the burning for the reduction of air pollution, protecting the health of the city of Pendleton.
Okay, and so this is the first reading, and the public hearing for that will take place on August 4th. It's wild that we're that far into the year. So that will be when we hear from the fire marshal and the safety compliance officer. Our next item of business.
May I
Yes.
make a request?
Mhm.
May we please have a copy with the edits out of what that would look like without, I read it and said, oh my gosh, I wish I could take this and take out all the edits and have it look like what they intend for it to look like.
So you don't like having the red line version, so you can,
I'd like both, please.
you want both?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next items of business on the agenda. And so because so this is likely what many of you are here to listen to or partake in this evening, which is our public hearings regarding our ordinances around temporary sheltering and our exclusion ordinance. So we have both of those that we have the first reading and of both of those items, and we are also declaring them an emergency to be able to make a decision on them this evening as part of this public hearing process. So what I'm going to do is, because we have the ordinances back to back, a lot of the pieces, while they're two separate ordinances, they're very similar topics. So what I'm going to do is, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to open the public hearing. We're going to have the discussion around the temporary sheltering piece first on public property. And then our second ordinance, where we will have public comment, regards the exclusion of on city-owned property. And so this is where it gets a bit murky because there's a time for people to speak either in favor of or against the proposal. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open up the first public hearing having to do in declaring it an emergency, a public hearing on ordinance 4052, establishing rules for temporary sheltering on public property. This would repeal ordinances number 3966 and 4032 and declaring an emergency. So this one specifically has to do with our sheltering ordinance discussion, and we are going to have our staff report, and we also have our attorney that is joining us online for this as well. So I will start with Assistant City Manager Byram for this time.
Madam
Actually,
Mayor,
I'm
Council.
going to go back through and read this just for the sake of this piece. Sorry. This is a public hearing having to do with the matter of general applicability in the city. We will begin with the staff report. Those in favor of the proposal will be given an opportunity to speak. When all in favor have spoken, those against the proposal will be given an opportunity. Then anyone who spoke in favor will be given an opportunity to reply to information given by those against the proposal. After all have spoken, I will close the public hearing and the city council will discuss the proposal. Each person making a statement should step to the microphone and give their name. This meeting is being recorded. All exhibits, documents, and other materials submitted at the hearings will be made a part of the record to the proceedings and kept for the city's files until all potential appeal periods have passed. After you're done speaking, please stay at the microphone so members of the council may ask questions. The public hearing is now open, and now we will do the staff report.
Madam Mayor, City Council, Chuck Byram, Assistant City Manager. Also online, just for you to know, is Emily Matazar with Chad Jacobs. It's his group that is involved in crafting this ordinance, as well as our new contracted city attorney, Jeremy Green, for the city of Pendleton. They are both on tonight and both have been versed on what's going on with this ordinance. So before you is ordinance number 4052, which repeals and replaces the ordinance that is on the books right now in regarding to sheltering on public property. For the sake of brevity, I guess more than anything else, is we have worked long and hard in trying to craft an ordinance after being sent a notice of tort claim from the Oregon Law Center regarding our current right to rest ordinance. Basically, they pointed out some deficiencies in our ordinance that we are addressing in this one. And we are making it more in line with what has already been accepted within the court systems within the state of Oregon. I'm not talking about appeals, but just through other circuit courts throughout the state of Oregon. Right now, there really is no, and the attorneys can correct me, but based on what I've been hearing, there really is no binding current circuit court case law or appellate law out there right now that has come out regarding this issue. So we are basically in the wild west of this, for lack of a better term. In that we originally tried to craft ordinances based on the law that was put out by the state of Oregon. And then the Supreme Court decision came down, kind of scaled that back a little bit. Then state of Oregon put in laws that were actually coded in Oregon revised statute. And that is where we got all of our right to rest ordinance language. Since then, things have evolved. We have not. And that is what this temporary sheltering ordinance is meant to address, and hopefully let us reset where we're at right now and move forward with trying to find a solution to this issue that's plaguing the whole state.
So with that, I guess I would ask the mayor to maybe ask if our attorney, Emily, has anything that she would like to add to that, the assistant city manager's comments.
Emily, you are welcome to unmute if you would like to add to the conversation.
Sure. Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Emily Matazar with Beery, Elsner and Hammond. I'm Chad Jacobs' partner. The only thing that I would add is that this is sort of intended to be a first step. This is not, we don't believe that this is the final perfect sheltering ordinance for the city. It's just a step in that direction. We fully expect that the conversation will continue and more amendments will come forward. But we think that this is an important first step. And I'm happy to answer questions if council has them.
Okay. Do we have questions from the council specifically for the attorneys? So Councilor Hull.
Yeah, I do. Emily, Council Member Joseph Hull. So I'm jumping right into the frying pan here because I just was sworn in 20 minutes ago, but Question for you, as you made that statement, it seems like things in general in maybe other locations are moving forward to points beyond where we're going. Is that true? Could we get your sense on that? And if that is the case, why wouldn't we be taking those steps now with this effort? So please explain if there's farther that it looks like we might need to go, or has the rest of the world gone farther than these changes?
I guess how I would answer that is that as Chuck mentioned in his staff report, we don't have binding case law on Pendleton at this point. We have some circuit court cases. We have the statute, which the state statute, which was amended after your existing ordinance took effect. And then we have circuit court cases outside of, in other counties in Oregon. We don't have a binding appellate court case on these issues. So while I think there are some communities that are going further than Pendleton, this is a step towards compliance and we believe is defensible. Whereas the current ordinance is not only being challenged right now in litigation, but there's a pretty substantial risk that it will not survive that challenge. So this is, I think for that reason, this ordinance is, like I said, defensible at the very least.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Emily, this is Counselor Carol Ennis. When you said they have gone further, in what way and in what areas?
So I would say that there are more spaces available for people to shelter. There are also the time restrictions, I think, are greater. So whereas this ordinance before you now allows sheltering upon city property designated on the sheltering map for sheltering between the hours of 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., that some communities go further. But I think what I would encourage you to, I guess I wouldn't encourage you to focus on what other communities are doing. I think maybe where I would focus or direct you to focus is the change from your existing ordinance, which is in place and the subject of litigation now, to how this changes that. And this is much more, I would say, I guess defensible. I keep saying that, but this is this is a big step in the right direction, at least.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions?
Questions about the ordinance in general?
Yes,
Yeah, I have a question.
for staff, yeah.
I have a question about section 2 and the sheltering site definitions. So A, erects a tent on city property. B, elevates tarps, blankets, or the likes to create a hut, lean-to, similar independently raised structure on city property. C, places personal belongings cumulatively exceeding 4x6 or spatial equivalent. So my question is, A and B are pretty obvious, but C, so if an individual has a few blankets or a sleeping bag and is not taking up a 4x6 space, is that person sheltering?
By definition, no.
What are we calling it then? What do
Depends on what they're doing.
if they're sleeping
If they're sleeping, then where are they sleeping?
on city property?
Then sheltering.
So they are sheltering.
Well, the act of what they're doing, yes. It's not about their belongings at that point. So what is the individual doing?
So if the individual is not taking up a 4x6 space, they're still sheltering?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
They could take up more than.
Sorry, I think this is where we get into the confusion of things again, of where if somebody lays out a picnic blanket and falls asleep,
Mhm.
this is where we had that kind of murky area last time. So I do think the definition might be something we would want to think about a little more. I really don't want to get into that space.
Again, everything that we could write down on this paper could be debated to and fro about what the meaning of it is. But I think that's what we're here to decide is what do we intend with this ordinance? What is the intent? And our intent right now is to get something more robust than what we already have on the books. It is intended to get us out from under litigation. It is intended to put us on a better foot forward so that we can stop worrying about litigation and worrying about what we're going to do moving forward after that. So I would say that if places personal belongings cumulatively exceeding 4 to 6 feet in spatial footprint on city property, again, that is something that when our officers will go and deal with it on an individualized basis, they will make that determination. And if they do make the determination that somebody's sheltering, they will take the appropriate action. That will not be punitive in nature at that point. What it will be is it'll be informative to that individual that you are violating the sheltering ordinance. If you disagree with it, then you can stay here, you'll get a citation, we can go to court and argue that. Nothing will be arrestable, nothing or anything like that. It's just a matter of us taking the individualized steps to follow this ordinance moving forward when we interact with people who we believe are sheltering on our public property.
So
The point here being, and you said it, just I think it's worth repeating, is to, first of all, find ourselves in position to be compliant with state law. And secondly, to have a substantiated and defendable position so that we are prepared.
Absolutely. And this is a living document. We can adjust it as needed as we move forward. But what we're being told right now by the minds that we are paying to do this is the way to go. This is defensible. And so this is, I mean, I can't say any more than that.
We'll actually do Carol and then Linda.
Oh, let Linda go.
Okay.
One of the things that I was wondering about in the section 2, the definitions and the city property, there are several groups in town, benevolent groups that have sponsored a park or a shelter. And I'm thinking, because I know almost about the Kiwanis situation where they have erected equipment in the park and have contributed to the maintenance. Do they have any, I don't know what word I'm looking for now. Have they been contacted or approached about some of the concerns that they might have and whether or not what is developed is going to be manageable for those sites?
I'm not understanding the question.
Okay, and I'm
Linda.
not,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't, it wouldn't be applicable because it's in a city park. And so what we're talking about here is regulating people who are going to be sheltering for, sheltering, resting / camping on designated camping areas.
so
But
designate,
they're not in, right, but this isn't applicable to city parks. That it would be prohibitive for people to camp or shelter in that manner in a city park,
okay.
which would be the facilities that you're referring to.
And I've read city property to include parks.
Well, that is city property, but it's actually prohibited for people to shelter in this manner in a city park.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
But I know one discussion that we had was regarding city parks and potential adoption of park rules by the Parks Commission and the Parks Director to be able to address some of that. And there's an item, I don't know what section it's under, section 3.
Subsection.
That talks specifically about use of parks, and nothing in this ordinance is intended to limit the use of parks by any individual or group, provided that such use is consistent with applicable park rules. And that is something the park rules will be adopted by the city shall ensure that all individuals may use parks in an equal manner. So I think it's specifically kind of called out there, but I think the parks rules are forthcoming. Like we have basic park rules right now, but I know the Parks Commission, I think, is working on that.
Okay.
That is correct. And the parks close at 10 o'clock anyway. So again, they would be trespassing that.
Am I next?
Addison, did you have something to add?
No, I was just highlighting where the parks were discussed.
So
Carol and Joe.
may I sleep on the grass behind the bus out in front of City Hall? If I don't have a bunch of junk with me, can I just take a nap anytime I want behind that bus stop?
No,
Why not?
it's not. I don't believe it's intended for that purpose, but the
Okay,
lawyers, but
all right.
the lawyers can ask, because that's not a designated sheltering site.
Well, but it says sitting and sleeping in manners that do not amount to sheltering on outdoor city property is permitted except during hours of closure or otherwise prohibited. But I didn't find what otherwise prohibited meant. I'm just thinking if I am somebody who's sleeping there and you come along and you try to roust me out and I say, but it says I can do this. Why can't I?
Let's let Emily weigh in on that.
Okay, Emily.
Emily, do you understand the question?
It's in section
3.
3,
Item 4. Right?
number 4, sitting and sleeping.
So yes, I think that this ordinance would allow a person to sit and sleep in manners that do not amount to sheltering. So without a lean-to or tent or 4x6 area on outdoor city property, except during hours of closures, as long as the conduct does not do any of these things.
So the list of things are obstructing pedestrian or vehicular travel, blocking access to an entrance, exit, driveway, loading area, or ADA accessible route, unreasonably interfering with the use of city property by others, interfering with the operation of business or governmental function, or involving criminal conduct independent of the act of sitting or sleeping.
Yep. I mean, I see people on those benches near the bus stop, nodding off, and I don't know why they're nodding off. I'm not making a judgment. But I'm thinking, okay, if they don't have other stuff with them, are they allowed to sleep on the bench or sleep on the grass? And I would think that that would be a question that some people would ask. And do we need to tighten that up, or are we going to allow that?
Well, you can take a nap there.
Okay, yeah, I could take a nap there, yes. And everybody should be able to take a nap there then. Or we say they can't, no, I can't take a nap there then.
Right.
We cannot discriminate between me and somebody else.
Joe, did you have a question?
I do. And this may be because you folks have seen it and I just haven't yet, but item number 6 in section 2, number 6 talks about a sheltering map available on the city's website and at City Hall. Do we have that map developed yet, or is that coming as part of this?
We do.
We do. It's developed.
It's been in use.
So is this one different from the map we have been using all along?
So I don't, what map did you pull? Were you able to pull up the actual?
We can have Chief Nelson come up. A lot of the questions that we just talked about are pertinent to his area of expertise.
So we tried to pull up the most, we had a late request there is a website there is a map on our website. We tried to pull it up and print it off, and I think what I'm passing around is the most recent rescue site.
No, then it's not.
It's on the.
Go collect.
Yeah, 4 years old. I guess.
This is the original one from when we did right in 2020.
So this isn't it.
That was on our website.
I just Googled the city of Pendleton sheltering map and it came to the city's website with the link to this wonderful interactive map here.
Look at that.
It's got restrooms marked out, all sorts of stuff.
Got it on the city website right now.
Okay.
So that map is the local GIS map that is interactive.
John, it even has a marker for where you are. Oh, excellent.
And my understanding, please correct me,
He's showing them
Chief
good ones
Nelson.
on the city website.
is if you encounter an individual that is in an area that they are not allowed to be in, you or one of your officers, my understanding is that you usually show them, these are the places that you can be.
Correct. Yes, we have that all downloaded on all of our phones and our MDTs. If we need to blow it up a little bit bigger, we can usually send that to most people if they're not, unless it's a Wi-Fi only phone, then we can't unless we're at a Wi-Fi area. So we'll just blow it up and show them where they can go. We haven't printed them yet because the updated map just came out last week.
So all the little red and yellow dots are permitted?
No, the
sheltering?
green.
The green ones are
Yes.
permitted. The green.
The
line.
neon green type coloring.
Yes.
There's a bunch of different lines on that. It's an interactive GIS map, so you can hit one of the side menus and pull up all sorts of different items.
Because
you can move around.
I had several people say to me, I couldn't tell you where I would be permitted to camp because I can't read the map.
Well, I think this is
Yeah.
part of a bigger discussion. And if I may kind of add in, this is an example of how our attorney and our assistant city manager said that this is a starting point.
Yeah.
And discussions like you all had last week, specifically about this issue. I mean, we're going to continue having further discussions to refine the locations on the map and, talk about where those are going to be. But this is the way it's presented to us tonight is with the existing map that is on our city website right now.
Okay.
John?
Well, Ellie had her hand up.
Okay, we'll do you first because I was looking this way and then Ellie.
Okay. Well, I think one of the pieces that I had questions about, and this might fall into Carol's example, if we were sleeping out on the grassy area out in front of the vert, and the police came by and saw us, and would it fall under the violation section where a person who is in violation of the ordinance, and they're a public nuisance under ordinance 3848. And there would be, it says basically they'd be asked to be relocated within 1 hour, clean up all their trash and is that the exclusion? So people can't just set up camp anywhere they want that's on city hall property.
The exclusionary ordinance is separate of the.
But in section, what section is this?
3, I think.
Section 3, paragraph 7 on violations and fines. So if someone is resting, camping, sleeping, whatever, on a non-designated camp area, so the grassy area in front of the vert, is that where this would come into play? That they would be asked to vacate the place within 1 hour and clean up all their mess?
It said you can. Under 4.
What would trigger the violations and fines if they are camping in a non-designated area?
Camping, sitting, or sleeping, they're not the same thing. I mean, you can't ask a multiple question because they're not the same answer. I mean, sitting and sleeping is different from sheltering.
I guess our first question has to do with the violation and
Yes.
when is a violation
When is a
triggered?
violation triggered?
So just for the record. Yeah.
You're asking me? Sorry, it's hard to hear.
We're asking the chief of police.
Okay,
but,
great.
You can add in after him if you would like.
So Madam Mayor, Councilors, Tony Nelson. So I'm actually going through this quite a bit as we're speaking. I didn't see this ordinance until yesterday when I pulled up the agenda. So I've been going through this quite a bit over the last 2 days. In response to your question, as it is right now, if someone's sitting or sleeping, laying in the grass, we leave them be because it's not really, we don't consider it a violation. If under our current ordinance, we consider it resting if they're building a shelter, if they have tents and plethora of items strewn about, which goes back to the park bench type things. We currently have a sleeping on park benches, which this ordinance will take away. So that we do work on right now, sleeping on park benches and bus stops. We do not allow that as of right now. This ordinance will repeal that, so we will not have that any longer. But just sleeping in an area, you throw a
anything down and sleep on top of it, we leave you be. If you erect a sheltering location, a campsite, things like that, outside of a sheltering area, then that will trigger a violation of violating the sheltering ordinance, and in that case, go to the exclusions.
Makes sense to me.
Chief, if you wouldn't mind staying, I've got a question in a second. I'll probably drag you back up.
We'll all go through this together.
Mine's really quick and it's a logistical thing for staff. I pulled up Pendleton sheltering map when we were all looking at it. And essentially we both the right to rest map and the sheltering map still show up in Google, and one is just a 404 page. It doesn't redirect or anything. And so if somebody, because it's our historic language, goes to right to rest map, it goes nowhere. And that is problematic.
IT's been working on that issue.
Thank you.
Yeah. We brought that up to them yesterday. They're working on it.
Okay, Counselor Hall.
Sorry, but
No, you're fine.
I've just joined council tonight, as you know, but I've tried to pay very close attention to all of that was going on with this subject. Attended last Tuesday's meeting, so lots of discussion there, but I want to, I guess, gain confidence in our preparedness to protect private property now. So everything we're talking about here is having to do with city property, and I understand that this is city council. Do we feel better armed at this point to better protect private property, like stairways that go down into people's Main Street buildings, those kinds of things? Or is that a separate?
That's a complete separate issue. That private property, that goes straight into criminal. That doesn't have anything to do with city property and sheltering or anything like that. If it's in an area that you're not allowed to be, it can be considered criminal trespass.
Yeah, and always would have been.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you go into our trespass agreements, which we have with many businesses in town, that allow us to take action at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, which is generally when we find those acts. That allows us to take action without having to wake them up, which we used to have to do. So we ask lots of business to join that program. We don't have to take enforcement action, but we just try to take care of the problem.
Okay. So we were always armed there. We're still
Yes.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Private property is a complete separate issue.
Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions for the chief while he's standing here?
Not right now.
Okay, not now.
Go right on back and I'll be ready to come up again.
I do have another
Oh.
question. So sorry, but I've
Gotta keep it light.
the thing, this is light. So that I talked about sleeping on the grass. What if I'm sleeping on the sidewalk?
That is unlawful.
Okay.
You are now in the way of pedestrian flow.
Okay, that even if my legs are short, that's still, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Move back.
Okay.
Yes. No, that's always, we actually deal with that as a criminal act.
Okay.
So we don't like people to do that. We don't want people to get hurt. So that is the main thing that for
I've
public
asked
safety.
people to get off the sidewalk. I just didn't know whether I should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, go for it.
I did.
She's still waiting for that badge, Chief.
I know. I want to be the meter maid. I want to be the meter maid.
Okay. Do we have any additional questions for Emily, our attorney online, or our assistant city manager or city manager specifically about the ordinance?
I do.
Okay.
There are a lot of times given in here, like between 8 PM and 7 AM. This is year round, doesn't matter what the season is.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So I will just state for the record, that is a change from when a version of this ordinance was put before the city a few weeks ago at a large meeting. It was originally 24 hours in that proposed amended ordinance. This one does have a different time restriction. Our current is 10 to 6, so it's a little bit more time on either end, given for the sake of that. Okay. We will have opportunity for discussion once we get down closer. I will now, hearing kind of a lull with the council, I will move forward with, this would be the time for public comment. And the first thing I'm going to say is I will start a timer here. We have a 3-minute time restriction. This would be the time now for those that are in favor of the ordinance as proposed. So if you would like to speak in favor of the ordinance as proposed.
I don't think mine's in favor or opposed, more of this information.
I think informational could be now. Yeah. If you'd like to come up, you can be our first one, Debbie. And I would just ask that you state your name for the record.
Okay,
And I will give you a
appreciate it
warning.
If you'd let me finish, because Rush has timed me on this, and sometimes I'm at 3 minutes and sometimes I'm over.
You're good.
So,
You're good.
hi, I'm Debbie Kishpaw. Information in preparation for new city ordinances for camping and resting on the Umatilla River and Mackay Creek. EPA does not directly manage or regulate campsite locations. However, the agency established national water qualities criteria and delegates the enforcement of the environmental protections. EPA 200-foot rule generally requires disposing of waste that take place at least 200 feet from the water. EPA levy restrictions, these structures are federally managed, often by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. CTURI lands, non-tribal members must have official permits for the tribe to hunt, fish, or camp. The Confederated Tribes of Umatilla Indian Reservation hold vital water, fishing, and habitat rights to the Umatilla River. Army Corps of Engineers sanitation rules, no dumping of gray water, human or animal waste on the land or in the water. Moving forward, develop a multi-phase plan to be implemented. Include all of Pendleton, Umatilla County, and State of Oregon programs, agencies, and nonprofits to join us and guide us. The above agencies are almost begging to be included, acknowledged, and take action in the dysfunction and chaos currently running rampant in our city. In my opinion, the city of Pendleton needs to take the lead in organizing the above programs and rely on them to be the experts in this field. Pendleton has little to no knowledge required to educate, direct, or care for the homeless, mentally ill, or those with addiction issues. Many of these agencies have millions to hundreds of millions of dollars that have been granted to them to take care of homeless, mentally ill, and those with addictions. Pendleton should work with these agencies to rely on housing, shelter, food, and many other services. Phase 1. An ordinance establishes regulations for temporary camping and resting of the public property. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish reasonable time, place, and manner regulations governing temporary camping and resting. Possible site to be considered would be 622 Airport Road, 7.2 acres. Upon opening this facility, the city of Pendleton will map out or mark areas used for daily camping and provide the necessary sanitation facilities. Daily takedown and setup hours must be posted and followed. Consideration will always be made due to weather considerations. Last, upon opening, the city of Pendleton will have created a hub with all the local nonprofits and agencies regarding care, and this will be implemented immediately upon opening the facility or sites. One thing I did leave out, and I highlighted it here, is if you're looking into housing and doing it yourselves, you might, I did some research regarding Salem and Portland, and they're currently losing money on their investments for this. Portland, their facility use is down 50 to 60% occupancy and down 15% for permanent housing vacancies. Lack to full capacity is due to clients not wanting to follow basic rules, not prostituting, not fighting, no weapons, distribution, or no drugs.
Perfect. Thank you. If you want to share that with staff, they can give copies to us.
And then I've attached to the back of it the rules from American Corps of Engineers.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, do we have anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the proposal as presented? Okay, Bill, if you'd like to come up, please state your first and last name for the record.
My name is Jill Johnson, and I'm a local resident. Part of my working career was as a medical professional offering care within homeless shelters and doing some street medicine as well. So it's something that I am aware of from the medical perspective. And I think that this new proposal is a much more humane approach than the previous one. The one thing I would have you consider is that ending the camping time before at 6 o'clock was just a horrible thing, because in the winter, 5 o'clock is when you have to get up in order to pack your camp. It's dark. It's the coldest time of the day. If you happen to be supposed to be on psych meds, it's probably very difficult to awaken. And so the one thing I would ask is that you consider those people who are trying to be healthy and follow the rules and do things, that it would be, having been somebody who worked before I was in medicine, I worked a lot in wilderness areas and did a lot of camping. It is much easier to do a neat and tidy camp if you start before dark, and much easier to clean things up if you end after daylight. And so I would urge you to take into consideration winter hours, and perhaps make the time of camping something like 7 p.m. till more like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., just to allow people to physically get enough sleep, be able to actually manage their possessions. And there was one other point that I don't remember now what it was. Anyway, I think you'll get better, people will be more easily able to follow the law if we work with what is actually physically reasonable. So that's mostly what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Paul, if you'd like to come up, please state your first and last name for the record. And just for a second, Debbie, I did see you might have had additional copies for each of us. If you did want to give Susan that, she can just pass it down to the group so we can see it. We do put everything, if you give copies to us, it goes into the public record with this meeting. But if you want us all to have a copy now and you have them, we will take them. Okay.
All right, Paula Hall, Mayor and council members. I'm not here to say I am for or against the ordinance, but rather to provide some additional information. I work with the Community Action Program of East Central Oregon, the local nonprofit addressing housing, homeless, and a whole plethora of services. And recently we had a notice of funding opportunity posted on our website. We had a couple of applications, and we just last week sent 2 of those awards, notice of funding awards, to 2 different organizations here in Pendleton. One is for a day shelter. And so we were able to provide the full amount of their grant award, and they are starting their recruitment for staff. But we're ready to sign a contract. And then we also have had some conversations with expanding the shelter, the night shelter. And although that has not been formalized, we have given them a notice of funding award for their full ask to operate a 12-month night shelter. CAPCO has no intention and will not be expanding our services that we provide directly, but we do have the monies, and we're able to be pretty aggressive with some grant writing. And so those 2 programs, or those 2 funding awards, are now available to expand both day shelter and night shelter. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the proposal?
Amy Madrigal's online.
Okay.
Speak.
Amy, if you want to unmute, I will just start the timer once you state your first and last name.
Amy Madrigal Bates. Sorry, council members, I had to come home and care for my family, but I didn't know about the grant opportunity I just heard about. That would have been wonderful to help what we're trying to do. I am in favor, but I agree with the lady that spoke prior to this last one, that the hours would need to be extended in the mornings. There's no services for them in the mornings. Like, there's nowhere for them to go. Even the ones that have medication management through CCS can't get there until they open their doors at 8 or 9 a.m. So you've got them wondering, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? And, there's nothing. And so, I mean, we're going to have a drop-in center that's located right behind the library. I still have that building, and we've got volunteers that will be offering coffee in the morning and like help them with a daily plan to see if they have a plan or what their plan could be. So that'll be being offered there. But she's right. If you're asking somebody to pack up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, it's not enough. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever been homeless, and I'm not, saying, but when it takes a while for me to get warm at night just so I could fall asleep. And then by the time I had to get up, it was like, it's just groggy, and it was difficult. And this was in my 20s. So I can imagine what it's like for some of these elderly people that are out there homeless because they have no place to go. So you might want to consider that. I agree.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Okay, now would be the time for those that are opposed to the ordinance as presented to provide your testimony. Okay, if you could please state your first and last name for the record, and I will start the timer.
Madam Mayor, City Council, thanks. I spent the whole first half of the meeting just typing stuff that I was going to say, and I just threw it all out.
If you could just state your first and last name for the record.
I'm Zach Bowman.
Okay.
And I'm not for or against. I just think that what we've had so far, what we've heard from even the people that are pro, is that we need to make adjustments. And I understand it's a living document, but I think with what's been going on in the community, I think it is important to have the wording as precise as we can get it, so we don't have to deal with litigation. Because we're not gonna adjust the living document until we see litigation or someone is really proactive. So like I said, I'm not for or against. I think that this is something, I understand we're under a constraint on time. And maybe this is going to reveal my ignorance, but what if we just repealed and didn't replace the ordinance in question? Would that nullify the lawsuit and get us time to prepare a good ordinance?
If we repealed the ordinance right now, we wouldn't have anything on the books.
I understand.
And then the scenario would be, there wouldn't be the ability to be able to restrict, presumably.
If we just repealed the ordinance in question in the Thornton.
Yeah.
Would that take everything out?
I think that would be the concern.
No, I understand. I just curious about the timeline because it all feels rushed,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to speak against the proposal as presented? Hearing no one in person or online, I'm going to close this part of, actually, does anybody that spoke in favor care to add anything else? Okay, Jill.
Jill Johnson, with just one other short comment. For anyone who's concerned about waste management along the river, just needs to realize that we just had 600 goats for 3 weeks running up and down the riparian zone. So if we're worried about waste management, we could start there.
Thank you. Okay.
Debbie Kishpa again. I feel the safe way to do is to do what other people are doing. I think the best thing to do is to stretch outside of the box, think bigger, and be the leader versus the follower.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, we do have
Yes.
one comment online again.
Okay. Amy, I'm assuming that.
I don't know if I am going to get this right, but the for or against, so I'm against the early morning 5, 6 a.m. thing and feel that that should be noteworthy when you're making your decision on your emergency stuff tonight to adjust that time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Hearing no other public comment at this point, I'm going to close the public hearing. And this would be the time for council discussion. As we get prepared for council discussion, I do just have a procedural question. I know we have our attorney online and Rob here. Because we are doing the first reading and we're declaring it an emergency and making a decision, when we get to it, will we need to go through and do the first reading of the ordinance itself? And then just the process having to do with the declaration of emergency. I just want to make sure that we go through all of the steps appropriately. Because typically our first reading, we read the ordinance.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to the attorney and ask her to answer that question.
He's our attorney.
Or our
Jeremy.
city attorney.
Refer to Jeremy, yes.
Jeremy. Are you there?
I think he can't unmute. Someone has to help him unmute. Oh, there.
Thank you.
He's unmuted.
Okay, Jeremy, did you hear my question?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I had a procedural question. Because we are going through the first reading and declaring of an emergency to be able to approve the ordinance. This is more of a procedural question for typically our city manager reads the ordinance into the record on the first reading, and then at a subsequent hearing, we go through the whole public hearing process. I just wanted to make sure that I had each of those steps in line for this. So if you don't have any answer to my question about what the exact process is, we could do some council discussion and then get to that piece, but.
Yeah, because it's an emergency, you're not going to have to read it twice or have multiple readings. But what I will do as you're discussing it amongst the council, I will pull up your charter and I will verify.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll open it to council discussion while our attorney looks into that. Addison?
Just a question about what our options are in front of us, sharing some of the concerns that we've heard about some specific wording, the potential to consider a more viable time range, which I know is probably one of the biggest individual changes here from our previous one. But would it behoove us to move quickly for the sake of the emergency that we've declared and for all those reasons that we are doing this in a more expedited fashion, and then immediately start the process of considering some adjustments to maybe plug some holes or make some of those changes that have been recommended? Is that type of quick turnaround adjustment the type of thing that we could do before litigation is resolved?
So I think what you're asking is, would it behoove us to go ahead and adopt the ordinance and then consider adjusting the time at a future date?
Yeah, with an understanding or agreement that we will look into these issues that have been raised. And
most definitely.
Okay, so that would be a possible route. Thank you.
And we have Emily on there too, if there's a question for her.
I don't like that. I would like us to address at least the time issue.
So I would tell you that if you're going to do that, I have two concerns. One is that we have a lot of support for this ordinance to be adopted as is. So that's my number one. That's one concern. And so the second concern is that I know that when your attorney comes back online, he's going to tell you that this needs to be done unanimously. So because we're asking you to adopt it in a first and second reading. So those are my two concerns.
I personally, I agree with your hastier nature, Carol, but I feel like sending it back to those who developed it initially with the potential intention to address some of these concerns. Since they've just come up tonight, I don't necessarily want to codify it without addressing the original drafters.
Okay. What time frame might we consider those amendments or those changes?
I mean, I would talk to the attorney and find out what concerns they have. I mean, I would talk to the attorney and ask that question
ask that
at the next
question now?
meeting. You could ask,
I think that Carol is asking that question of you now. If you feel prepared to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the conversation is ongoing and you can bring an amendment back at, as soon as staff can prepare it with council's direction and community input and all that. It can be at your next meeting. I guess what I would reiterate is that it is important that council pass this ordinance now for the litigation, because if, our assessment is that the court will very likely strike down the existing ordinance, and then the city will be left without any tools at all to regulate or prohibit sheltering, resting, tents, etc. And so that would be, I think that wouldn't benefit anyone. So that's why our recommendation is to adopt this now. Again, as soon as staff can bring back those amendments, you can continue fixing it. But like I said from the beginning, this is sort of the beginning of the road to the perfect ordinance.
Okay,
Yes.
do I have the floor?
Yep.
I personally am very comfortable approving this now for the two reasons that we stated earlier, which is to gain compliance with state law, gain a defensible position with the work that's been done, and then would welcome any adjustments we need to make in the future, but that we get it in place.
Yeah. And I am supportive of that. But I don't want to sit and wait 9 months before we have follow-up discussion.
Yeah, understood.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Ellen?
I won't be here 9 months. 4 months.
So mine isn't a question. It's just kind of addressing a couple of concerns I've heard. And one, I think we've just quickly addressed there, is that this is going to be an ongoing. We are not going to be leaving this alone. We had the intention of doing this months ago, but due to litigation, we've had some delays that we did not want. But it is every intention from many, many, many conversations for us to continue working on this ordinance. The other is just to clarify that at least as of this ordinance, the hours are 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. with the potential for adjustment in future iterations.
Okay. Do we have any additional council discussion?
Yeah. I just want to, again, with the time, I think that we should put a time frame on it, that I think this is something we should address, I'd say by the end of September, when it starts getting darker earlier. And so that, because right now, 8 p.m. till 7 a.m. is not it isn't as much of a problem as it will be in November.
I think it also gives us time for the police to be able to have some anecdotal information too, as they begin to enforce it, because there will be the differences in time as well. So they can kind of show where there's challenges or issues as well. Okay. Jeremy.
Yes, and I do have an answer for you. So certainly you could read the ordinance by title only this evening. You could pass it this evening as well, but as someone correctly noted, it would require unanimous consent.
So I do think that it'd be important, and Jeremy, please correct me if I'm wrong, that if the council moves forward with a recommendation, that we also put in there that it is an emergency adoption of that ordinance. And then we will do a polling of the council if we move in that direction. Okay, so any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to repeal current City of Pendleton Resting Ordinance number 3966 and replace with emergency adoption the new Pendleton Sheltering Ordinance number 4052.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Schulberg, seconded by Councilor Hull. Susan, may you please pull the.
hold on.
Oh, you have to.
I think two things. there might be some discussion, and second thing would be to read the ordinance by title.
Okay, do we have any discussion once there's been a motion? Okay, can you please read the ordinance, Rob?
Ordinance number 4052, an ordinance establishing rules for temporary sheltering on public property, repealing ordinance number 3966 and 4032, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Susan, would you please poll the council?
Councilmember Ennis,
Yes.
Councilmember Newman,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Mulvihill,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Hull,
Yes.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Yes.
Okay, it's been unanimously approved. With work to be done in the future. We are going to move on to our next item of business, which is our next ordinance, and this one specifically is the inclusion ordinance 4053. I am going to reopen the public hearing and ask for a staff report on the exclusion ordinance.
Mayor, Council, Chuck Byram, City Manager. Before you is ordinance number 4053, which is our exclusion ordinance. When we were looking at sheltering and right to rest and replacing and repealing everything, it was recommended by our lawyers that we remove the exclusion ordinance or the exclusionary language from the sheltering ordinance and make it its own. Make it its own ordinance in and of itself, because we can exclude people from city-owned properties for various things, not just violation of the sheltering ordinance. So that is why it needs to be its own separate ordinance.
Okay, do we have any specific questions for either Emily or Chuck?
I do.
Okay,
of course.
Carol?
Okay, under section 4 variances, under the variance request form, under 4, it says how the person would like to receive the city manager's written decision. Shouldn't that be the police chief's written decision? If you look up at the top, it addresses police chief as the designee. And so I think that under the old ordinance, it had city manager involved, but I think that's just one time it didn't get changed.
Yeah, it's right there on number 4. It's been noted and it will be changed when it's approved to form.
All right. Okay.
So it'd be replaced with police chief.
Yeah. And
Or the police chief's designee to be consistent with the.
okay, all right. Yes, exactly.
Okay, are there any additional questions?
Can I ask a question about content of this?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed in section 4 appeals, it's number 17, the way that the decision is provided, copy of the decision shall be mailed to the person's physical address or email address. What if they don't have either of those?
Well, I think that speaks back, I could be wrong, but that speaks back to Carol had just mentioned this in another piece where it does have the option to pick it up at City Hall for the notice, but
For sure. If the city council wanted to amend the language on that, I don't think that would be any issue. Or if you wanted us to do that, to include something to the effect or personal delivery.
Yeah. Would a cell phone be one of those options?
Email is included.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
So it could just refer back
Yeah,
up to the individual's preferred method of notice
Thanks.
as chosen in
the variance.
section 4, number 2.
Yeah.
D4.
I will add the wording into it that reflects your request.
Okay.
Pick up at City Hall.
Do we get very many variance requests?
In my tenure as chief of police, I believe I received 3. I don't know how many Chief Nelson has received thus far.
No, it stayed about the same now that we shrunk down. It used to be citywide, but once we shrunk down the size of it, those diminished significantly.
Yeah, I would think most people would not bother to try to go through that process.
One problem we have is when it refers to City Hall itself.
However, I will say just for the record, 2 of those 3 were granted those variances. So the process does work. It's just not in place for show.
Yep. No.
Any other questions for staff or for the attorney? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to open it up to public comment. This would be the time those in favor of the ordinance 4053, the exclusion ordinance as presented, to provide public comment. Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to go to those that would be against the proposal as presented. Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And now would be time for council discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with emergency adoption, the new City of Pendleton Ordinance 4053, updating our current rules for exclusion from city-owned property.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Councilor Schulberg, seconded by Councilor Ennis. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Rob, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 4053, an ordinance establishing procedures for issuing exclusion notices from city property and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Susan, could you please poll the council?
Councilmember Schulberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Hull,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Mulvihill,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Newman,
Yes.
Councilmember Ennis.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimously approved. Now is the time for city manager's report.
I don't have anything.
Okay, and one thing that I do at second meeting of every month is any boards, committees, or commissions that you serve on for the city as a council representative, I ask for just a quick update from those. Joe, you are new, so you'll get excluded from this one for now, but we'll get you onto some other committees, I'm sure. John, we'll start with you if there's anything you'd like to share.
Excellent. I was able to attend the recent meeting of the Tree Commission, and we received a report from what ran out of my head, the organization that did a census of all public trees around the city, and we got a report of the ones that were viable and a plan for replacing the ones that aren't. And it was really surprising to see that the vast majority of our trees are acceptable. And there's just there's a few that's been designated as immediate attention, but that stuff is those things are gonna get addressed. And so we're gonna start seeing some action on keeping our urban forest healthy and viable. And secondly, I've had the opportunity to staff the farmers market booth twice since our last meeting, and it's really been enjoyable to interact with the community. They come up and for the most part, positive comments, appreciative of the work that we're doing, predominantly getting the item about Motel 6's light, which was creating a problem for our neighbors on the North Hill, got that addressed. And of course, the unanimous pleasure from the repaving of North Main Street. So looking forward to it. I really encourage more people to come down and hang out on Friday night at the market. It's an enjoyable activity.
I will remind the council, if you go back and you go into your email and search farmers market, there was an email I think Jennifer had sent out originally months ago with sign up sheet. We can resend that out. We can make sure we resend it out. There's been some shifts in the council, as we all know, so you have the opportunity to sign up for that. Usually there's multiple people that sign up at a time, so feel free to do that. And thank you for staffing them.
Thank you.
Addison.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Carol.
I just wanted to report that the Housing and Neighborhood Committee had a meeting on the 7th regarding our housing strategy. And we will be having a follow-up meeting in August on the Friday Friday, the 21st at 1:30 in person. Our consultants will be here and bring us the new study and the updated information about that. So that's open to the public. And the last meeting, Julie Chase presented a lot of good information to us about what's happening, and it's only just happening, and continuous information is being gathered, and we will comply because we have to have that study completed by the end of the year. It's a requirement at the state level. So
And was
we
this
are
the
working
event
on it.
that got rescheduled when the power was out?
Yes, yeah.
So we had a large public meeting planned on the day that there was power outage in pretty much all of downtown. So that's the reschedule of the meeting. So if you didn't get a chance to make it, you will on August 21st.
Yep.
Okay.
And the consultants will be here.
Okay, Linda?
Well, I'm not sure I have anything that's specifically city council oriented, but one of the things that I look forward to every summer are the concerts in the park. And they start tomorrow. So maybe I'll see you out there with your blanket or your lawn chair for the first concert.
I think tomorrow is the third one.
Tomorrow's the fourth one.
Fourth one.
We've been doing them for a month. Yeah, we've been doing them for a month.
And they're not on her calendar.
Yeah, yeah.
So now this
Concerts
is
in
the
the park.
first one that's on her calendar.
This may be a nice time to add, check social media. It might be moved to an indoor location, which
Oh,
I'm
because of the
fortunate enough to
weather
say it has been chosen to be Great Pacific in the event of a high
Oh, the weather.
AQI index and weather.
Yeah.
It's looking more likely, but it's not confirmed. So check the,
So you're really talking
check.
about.
This will be number 4.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Yep.
This is number 4, but there will be 8. So you have many chances to, every week can be the first one.
Okay.
I thought it was the first one.
Okay, Steve.
Okay.
There you go.
It's the first one.
Move on to you, Steve. Do you have anything to update?
I have nothing to.
Okay. Brett, do you have anything to share?
That's kind of a hard act to follow. The Parks and Rec Commission met last Wednesday, July 15th. Financially, the department will be over budget for the year. Majority of that is due to costs up at the pool, primarily chemicals. Very expensive. We're waiting to hear back from the assessment, to hear back from the consultants and get bids on the pool assessment, of which that's a $15,000 project, but we received a $13,000 grant from Pendleton Foundation Trust, $1,000 from Splash, and $1,000 from PSA. And then lastly, one of the commission members mentioned that they are starting to get calls from folks concerned about a possible access road through Community Park.
Heard about that a lot too.
Heard a lot about that. Heard a lot.
All right, me?
Kelly.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot to report, so I'm just gonna say what I say, I guess. Don't forget, all of our meetings are on YouTube now, thanks to our awesome staff. I believe I am on the radio tomorrow discussing what we talked about today.
You're welcome to do it if you'd like. I had it on my calendar.
I had it on my
If you
calendar.
would like to do it, you're welcome.
Why
to.
don't you guys do it?
Rob's like, I get a week off.
We'll let you know. Tune in to find out who's there.
And finally, I am also sort of, I think, well, I've got an email that says I'm supposed to be on the committee for the community garden, but have not actually had any steps taken. They've not contacted me further, but I also have a plot up there and the community garden is going really well. It's over, we've got it off to quite a rocky start. And at this point, I think over half the beds are full. Some of them are thriving. And it's been really good to see people get to grow food in a place the city has kind of given some land up for.
Where is that?
It is up behind McDonald's.
So as you're going
I drive
up
by it here.
on 9. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of across from Eastern Oregon Physical
I didn't know
Therapy.
that it was a community thing. I
Yeah, so there you had to sign up for a plot through the county health, and it's kind of spearheading that project. They did 20 beds this year, plus I think some like educational beds that didn't get used this year because of the delays. But my understanding is that next year they're hoping to have more beds.
Can't use them because of what, Ellie?
The delays, they had a really hard time getting the soil, like that amount of garden raised soil brought over. And then once it was brought over, it took a while for them to get it into the beds.
Just really quickly, until I'm on another committee, which I totally understand that council does that. Anytime you want, I can give updates about RCDC, the youth sports complex that I've been working on now for 3.5 years.
Okay.
So.
If you have anything that's pertinent to share now, you're welcome to share.
Yeah, just really quickly, and actually a few months ago, I talked to Rob about being on that side of the microphone, doing a full-blown update for you on what RCDC's been up to, and especially focusing on the sports complex. But just the brief update, pursuing an additional piece of property. When the initial piece of property that I'd gone after, when pursuing state funding, had an issue with the seller's attorney and had to pivot. I think a lot of you will remember this, pivot to the 40 city acres at the end of runway G. And thank you again for several years ago granting that. We're able to gain state funding by having that alternate property, and are on the path of gaining more property to go with the 40 because it's not big enough. I hate to say 40 acres isn't big enough, but it's not even close. So it's very exciting. And so when I do a more formal update, and Rob, we hadn't picked a time really, I think August, maybe we said.
We will still have you stand up there.
I'll go over there.
Yeah.
I can show
We're gonna make you wear a funny hat too.
Yeah, right?
Newbie.
Yeah. At that time, my plan is to have some slides showing the whole property, including the acreage we're trying to gain. So big news, very excited about that. And Carol, you told me one time a couple of years ago, I had to have that thing under construction before you left the council. And I'm trying.
Well, maybe we'll say before I die.
Well, it's a long time.
So I can give those updates whenever too.
It's like contract.
You got lots of time, Jim.
Yeah,
Lots of
I think until I'm 94 at least, so
Deal.
we've got a while.
Okay, the final thing that I'll add to that is I have the opportunity as the mayor to sit as an ex officio on many boards and commissions. One of them that we've had a meeting for recently is the Pendleton Convention Center Commission and the Blue Mountain Equine Center. And so what I would just say is I don't have exact stats for you, but it's exciting to hear that all those buildings are being utilized. And an example of a partnership between organizations, between Roundup, the city, the college, to be able to have that facility. And I know we have Andy back here, and likely I just wanted to highlight the work that Andy and Doug did with Pendleton Whiskey Music Fest, large event in our community. There was a large impact on our community as well. And just thank you for everything that you both have done in your team to be able to make it a successful event. And we support you going forward and continue and hope that you continue for many years.
Yeah.
Were you going to add something?
No, just that I helped at the gate taking and doing parking. It was,
I think it's an
That
all
was-
hands on deck
Yeah.
situation. So thank you. Perfect.
Or let's shoot for 100.
100. That's Andy might say, I don't know about that, but a long future. My final thing I will say is the Pendleton Convention Center is looking for an additional at-large member. So you will start seeing some advertisement for that coming from our staff. Specifically, we do not have someone from the lodging industry. It's important for us to have representation from restaurant owners, lodging industry, our community partners. So we might be, prioritizing someone that has that tie to our community. But we will put it out to see who we get applications from. So if you or anyone you know of is interested, please fill that out once we get it. And with that being said, I do not believe that the council has any plans for future meetings at this time in the month of July. Our next meeting will be on August 4th, I believe, of the Pendleton City Council. So have a good evening and thank you all for coming. I'm earning us at 8:53.
How's that you put on the radio with you? I was pretty sure it was.
Well, McKinnon has it on his deal.
Please no. I'm okay if you want to do that with Ross, because I need to take off Ashley or until what he part of his father. So I can swap it. If it's the radio.
Council members, excuse me, council members. I have a question. How do I get on your next meeting? Hello? Wait, hello? Hello? Hello?
Billy. Mary. Get it. It's Billy.
Nice to meet you. Perfect. Well, thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you.